Yo guys, welcome back to the final episode of the 1v1 series. This episode is going to be about the mental side of the game. So 1v1 is the most infuriating game mode in my opinion, because it's the kind of game mode where you make your most mistakes, and sometimes even in certain games you can really see yourself at your worst. But it also has its benefits, because when you're playing good and you feel like you're feeling good on the game, you can also see yourself at your best. The mental side of ones is really hard to get down, so in this video I'm going to be giving a few tips to make it easier for you. So the first tip I want to talk about is consistency. I know so many people that just play like a couple ones games every now and then and they don't improve, and they wonder why they don't improve. In my opinion, you have to play different in 1v1 than you have to play in 2v2 and 3v3. Like completely on the mental side of things, because 2v2 and 3v3, like, you can make mistakes, you can like have a toxic teammate or whatever, but going into 1v1s I think is completely different, because it is just you, there's only you to blame really, so that's why it can be really hard sometimes. So this is why my first tip would be consistency, because I think staying consistent with actually playing 1v1s, like not necessarily being consistent in game, because that is really hard to achieve, but just being consistent with actually playing 1v1s. Like if every day you try and play at least like 3 to 5 1v1 games, you will guarantee yourself improvements over the next few weeks. So it's kind of like with everything, as long as you stay consistent, you will 100% see results. And even though playing ones can be really hard sometimes, I think that is the first and main thing to focus on. Even when you're playing bad, because I've spoke about this before, you're not going to play perfect all the time, but you do need to find a way to win even when you're not playing at your best. It's something that pros talk about, it's something that I've spoken about before. Winning the game while you're not playing your best is a huge mental side of things that you need to be able to get into your game. Being able to change your game and adapt to different play styles sometimes just because you're not playing your best is really important to be able to win games even when you're not at your best. So as I said, playing when you're playing bad, playing when you're playing good, no matter what it is, I just want you to keep playing, keep grinding, stay consistent, and you'll guarantee yourself results. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is trying to stay focused on what the actual objective is. So overall, like for you watching this video right now, the main objective is to improve at this game. And so many times people will go into games and they'll like be toxic to their teammate, they'll be talking about if like that they got demoed or bumped, they'll be like being toxic in chat or whatever. It's just completely taking the focus away from what you're actually meant to be doing. Like people always say that they want to improve and they want to get better and things like that, but then they spend the majority of their time in game like focusing on what their teammates are doing, what the opponents are doing, like if they got demoed and things like that. It's just completely the opposite of what you're meant to be focusing on. You need to just stay focused on you, what you're doing in the game, and making sure you're learning from your mistakes. Even after playing a 1v1 game, maybe going over the replay and understanding what you could have done better in every situation. And like I spoke about before, you can go over the replay in both people's point of view and see what the best play would have been from both POVs. Like so many times I've watched my own replay and I didn't realize that like a fake was completely on like at that point, or a flick was the best play at that point, because I just didn't notice it at the time. And then once I've watched the replay back, I noticed it, like, oh, I could have definitely flicked that, or I was definitely in a good position to fake that there, and I just didn't notice it at the time. And this is why going over replays can really be important. Okay, and the third and final thing I want to talk about is patience. As a lot of people know now, Rocket League is one of the hardest games to actually get good at. It can take thousands and thousands of hours just to get decent at this game. The never-ending skill ceiling and constant improvement from so many people in the scene means that this game just genuinely gets harder and harder every single time you play it. And this is why, if you are a person that really wants to improve, you need to be willing to go into these games with the right mindset and making sure you're making the right decisions in your head and on the game. And that will give you the best chance to be able to outperform most people in the scene. So if you've watched this whole series, I want you taking all the tips that I've gave you and making sure you're applying them to your game, maybe one by one, maybe like two by one. If you're playing a game, I want you going into it thinking 100% about like one thing I've said or maybe two things I've said. I don't want you thinking about like 10, 15 different things I've said, because that would be way too much. I just want you going in with thinking about maybe one or two things that you can definitely change in your game. Make sure you've got a clear idea of the actual specific things you need to be doing in these games to guarantee yourself improvement, and then you'll end up enjoying the game a lot more, and especially enjoying 1v1 for what the mode actually is. Every time I really want to improve fast and really work on my game, I make sure I play 1v1s the most, because it's a place where I'm going to make my most mistakes, and the more mistakes I make, the more I can learn from. That's going to be the end of the video though, guys. I really hope that this whole one series helped you out. Let me know in the comments if it did help you out. Make sure you vote on this poll here to let me know what content you want next. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.